chosen one. Heaven has paused for you. Right now, the noise of the world fades, and something unseen leans closer. The Spirit has silenced the clamor of distraction because there is a sentence that must reach your heart tonight. You feel it already, something deep within, stirring, like a river finally remembering its source. You are not here by coincidence. Heaven's timing never misfires. You were drawn here because divine order has arranged an encounter, a holy interruption. Think of the day when Joshua stood before the battlefield and the sun itself refused to set until God's will was fulfilled. That same pause is happening now for you. The universe holds its breath because your destiny is speaking your name. You've been walking through storms that others never noticed, smiling while bleeding, serving while unseen. Every unanswered prayer has been a seed in the dark. Every delay was God's way of shaping the roots before revealing the fruit. You've been asking, why the waiting? Why the silence? Heaven whispers back. Because you are being fortified, not forgotten. There is a story the angels still tell, the story of a young woman named Ilara, one of God's chosen ones. For years, she prayed for breakthrough, for a sign that heaven remembered her. But nothing moved. Seasons changed, doors stayed shut, until one night, exhausted from praying the same prayer, she simply said, "Lord, if you still have purpose for me, I say yes again." That single whisper broke something in the unseen. Within days, her world shifted, not because of luck, but because heaven was waiting on her surrender. That's what this moment is for you. The pause is not punishment, it's preparation. The silence you feel is not absence, it's the sound of heaven arranging the next chapter of your story. You have been chosen to carry light in a world that prefers shadows. You are not ordinary, and you were never meant to blend in. That's why the warfare around you has felt heavier. That's why people drifted away. It wasn't rejection, it was redirection. God removed what couldn't stay for where you're going next. It is written in the book of Joshua, chapter 10, verse 13. So the sun stood still, and the moon stopped, till the nation avenged itself on its enemies. Listen, God made the heavens pause once, and He's doing it again, right now, for you, because He refuses to move forward without your response. You are the hinge of heaven's next move. There are times when the Spirit doesn't shout, He waits. Waits for you to lean in. Waits for you to whisper, yes. You might not realize it, but every divine assignment begins with a human response. God has already spoken over you. Arise, my chosen. Now it's your turn to speak back. You've wondered if your voice still matters. It does. Every time you choose faith over fear, heaven records it. Every act of love you give in silence echoes in the courts of glory. You are not forgotten. And tonight, the message is simple but urgent. God will not rest until you speak the words He placed in your spirit. This is the hour to awaken. No more postponing purpose. No more waiting for perfect moments. The perfect moment is now, because heaven's clock has stopped for your answer. There are angels surrounding you, listening, holding their breath with the same expectation as when creation waited for light to be spoken. This is your Genesis moment, the breath before breakthrough, the silence before the song. So before this section ends, let your heart whisper it. Lord, I'm still here. I'm still willing. I'm still yours. End quote. That's it. That's what heaven has been waiting for, not perfection, but permission. You don't need a stage. You don't need a crown. You don't need to prove yourself. You just need to respond. The door will open when you do. Chosen one. If this message has stirred something deep in you, then don't keep it in. Let your voice join the sound of obedience. Tap that, like not for the algorithm, but as your visible amen. Share it so another weary soul can find this same pause of heaven. And if your spirit knows this was for you, then subscribe and stay connected, because your story with heaven is just beginning. Now, before you scroll away, type this prophetic number in the comments. 777. It is your act of alignment, your silent declaration that you are ready for divine acceleration. The sun has paused once more. Heaven listens. Your voice will move it forward. You remember the quiet nights when everything around you was still, but inside, your thoughts ran like wild rivers. Those were the moments you questioned whether God still saw you. You spoke into the air, and silence replied. Yet what you didn't realize was that silence does not mean absence. It means listening. Heaven heard every word, even the ones you couldn't form aloud. There was another chosen one once, a man named Aaron. He lived through years of waiting, wondering if heaven had closed its doors. His prayers felt like letters returned, unopened. But what he couldn't see was that each unanswered prayer was being stored in the chambers of heaven like perfume in a sealed jar. When the right time came, those prayers were released, and the fragrance filled every corner of his life. You have lived in your own waiting room. People have walked past you, their lives moving faster, their stories seemingly brighter. But your stillness has not been a delay, it's been divine design. There are lessons that only grow in the soil of silence. You've been learning endurance, the kind that cannot be faked. You've been developing eyes that see beyond what's visible. In the secret places of your heart, God has been shaping something unshakable. It's like a seed planted in darkness. It doesn't panic because it cannot see the sun. It trusts that the sun will find it when it's time, so it waits. And you, too, have been waiting, not in vain, but in preparation. You've mistaken loneliness for abandonment, but they are not the same. Loneliness is the classroom where God teaches you to recognize His presence even when no one else is around. He removes the crowd so that His voice can become distinguishable again. There is something holy about the wilderness. It strips away the noise and reveals what was hidden underneath. When you lose everything familiar, you find what's eternal. When you're left with nothing to hold, you discover the one who holds you. The writings of David remind us in the book of Psalms, chapter 139, verse 12, "Even the darkness will not be dark to you, the night will shine like day, for darkness is as light to you." That means every dark season you've walked through was already lit from heaven's side. God saw you sitting in that dim room, your hands covering your face, whispering words even you didn't understand. And He said, "Stay, I'm working in the unseen." Imagine for a moment the night sky after a storm. The clouds clear, and one by one, stars begin to appear. That's what your life looks like right now. The storm has passed, you just haven't realized it yet. You're still standing in the echo of old thunder, but light is breaking through. There will come a day when you'll look back and thank God for the nights that felt endless. You'll understand that He was protecting you from premature exposure. You were not being overlooked, you were being hidden until it was safe for your purpose to be revealed. Think of a diamond. It is formed deep within the earth, where no one can see it. Pressure, darkness, heat, all of it shapes its brilliance. That's what's been happening to you. The weight you thought would crush you was actually carving your shine. And now, you are almost ready. Heaven is positioning people, places, and moments that will align perfectly with your calling. But it begins with the recognition that the silence was never punishment. It was conversation, a deeper one that can only be heard by the heart that refuses to quit listening. So breathe. Chosen one, the waiting is not wasted. The same God who watched over you in the valley will lead you out by the hand. The whisper you thought no one heard has reached the highest place, and heaven has already started moving because of it. And perhaps that's why tonight feels different. Something in the air carries peace where anxiety used to live. You can sense that the page is turning. Quietly but surely. Heaven doesn't need thunder to announce transition. Sometimes it moves with the softness of a dawn you didn't see coming. Every unanswered question begins to lose its sting. You don't need to understand every why anymore, because peace has started to whisper louder than confusion. That's when you realize you were never waiting for something. You were being shaped into someone. The version of you that will step forward now is stronger, softer, wiser. Hold that truth close. The silence that once haunted you has become sacred. And when you look back, you'll see it, the fingerprints of God all over every quiet night. There comes a moment when heaven waits for one sound, your voice. You've prayed silently, cried quietly, endured bravely. But there is something you've never said out loud. A sentence heaven has been waiting for since your first heartbreak. Since your first why. No, you see, there is a mystery in confession. It isn't about guilt, it's about release. Words have power because they carry agreement. When your heart and your mouth finally align, the heavens respond. There are doors that remain locked, not because God said no, but because you haven't spoken the yes that fits the keyhole. Once there was a chosen one named Mara. She carried anger toward God after losing everything she loved. For years, she served with her hands while her heart stayed silent. But one evening, she sat alone and whispered, "I forgive you, Lord, even though I don't understand you." The moment she said it, peace rushed through her chest, like wind filling a sail. It wasn't about God needing forgiveness. It was about Mara finally releasing the bitterness that blocked her healing. That is what heaven is waiting for in you. The words only you can say, not the polished ones, not the religious ones, the raw ones, the words that come from the ache, not the script. The prophet Hosea wrote in the 14th chapter, verse 2, "Take words with you and return to the Lord. Say to him, forgive all our sins and receive us graciously, that we may offer the fruit of our lips." There it is, the invitation. Take words with you. That means your return isn't silent, it's spoken. Every apology, every surrender, every promise, spoken words become living bridges between heaven and earth. So what are the words you've held back? Maybe it's, "I trust you again." Maybe it's, "I let it go." Maybe it's, "Use me." And whatever they are, they hold more power than you think. Because the moment you speak them, light travels through your life faster than pain ever did. When you finally open your mouth, something happens in the unseen. Heaven leans forward. Angels mark the sound. It is no small thing to speak after being silent for so long. You are not just saying words, you are unlocking realities. And when that release comes, it will feel like air after drowning. You will wonder why you waited so long. You'll realize that the words you feared would break you were actually the ones that would free you. Let your heart speak now. Whisper if you must. Say it trembling. Say it through tears. But say it. You are not talking to the air. You are speaking into eternity. Heaven is recording this moment in ink that cannot fade. Now, I want you to type these words in the comments. I speak now. Oh, do it not as an act of performance, but as a sign of obedience. Writing it down is like drawing a line in the sand, telling the darkness, this mouth belongs to God again. You don't have to shout it. You don't even have to understand it fully. Just mean it. Because every revival begins with a whisper that refuses to stay buried. And when you type those words, when you let them leave your heart through your fingertips, know this. Something begins to tremble in the unseen. Silence loses its power. Heaven hears. And your healing begins to echo. The first word is always the hardest, but once it's spoken, the chain that held it breaks. Speak now. Chosen one. Heaven has been waiting long enough. When you type, I speak now, you're not just leaving a comment, you're declaring a shift in the spiritual realm. It's your line in the sand. The moment you reclaim your authority, those 3 words are like a key in the Father's hand, unlocking everything that's been held back by fear. Heaven reads your faith through action, not volume. I speak now means you refuse to be silent about your healing, your calling, your worth. It's saying, no more agreements with shame, no more silence around pain. Every time you write it, you echo the truth that your voice carries divine weight. You're not just repeating a phrase, you're rewriting your atmosphere. And maybe the most powerful part is this. Your declaration will travel farther than you imagine. Someone scrolling in silence will read it, feel it, and gather courage to speak too. Your obedience becomes contagious. Your voice becomes a spark. And before long, a chorus rises from the chosen ones who finally dare to say aloud, I speak now. Oh, there is a sound that travels faster than light, the sound of surrender. When a chosen one finally speaks what heaven has waited to hear, something invisible begins to tremble. You may not feel it at first, but the walls around your spirit start to shift. Old patterns, old fears, old chains, they all recognize the sound of obedience. You might not have realized how much power lives inside your own words. From the beginning, God spoke, and creation appeared. He didn't build mountains with his hands, he released them with his voice. You were made in that same image. That means your voice carries fragments of divine authority. When you speak in alignment with his will, your words become weapons. Your breath becomes breakthrough. A man named Lior once learned this truth in the hardest way. He had been silent for years, too afraid to face what he'd lost. After his business collapsed, after his family turned distant, he stopped praying altogether. His silence became his prison. But one evening, he heard a message that said, chains break when you speak. Something in him stirred. He stood in his small, empty living room, lifted his face, and said, God, I still believe you can rebuild me. That single sentence carried more strength than years of trying to fix things alone. Within months, new doors opened, not because he found luck, but because he finally found his voice again. Chains don't break through effort, they break through expression. Silence can keep pain alive longer than sin ever could. The enemy fears your voice because it exposes him. It pulls truth into the open. It reminds darkness that you are not defeated. You are still standing, still breathing, still declaring that God's promises are louder than your wounds. The writings of Luke record, in the Acts of the Apostles, chapter 16, verses 25 and 26. About midnight, Paul and Silas were praying and singing hymns to God, and the prisoners were listening to them. Suddenly, there was a violent earthquake, and the foundations of the prison were shaken. At once, all the doors flew open, and everyone's chains came loose. It happened then, and it happens now. When words of faith rise in the night, the ground beneath bondage trembles. Notice Paul and Silas didn't wait for freedom before they sang. They sang until freedom arrived. Their song was not a reaction, it was a prophecy. Your declarations work the same way. When you speak truth into chaos, when you worship in the middle of pain, heaven moves in rhythm with your sound. God doesn't respond to perfection. He responds to alignment. He listens for the frequency of faith. Every battle you faced has tried to silence that frequency. That's why the pressure has been constant. The enemy doesn't attack random voices. He attacks powerful ones. He's afraid of what happens when you realize how much authority you already have. Think of your voice as a torch. The moment you speak God's promises, light floods the tunnel. It doesn't mean every wall disappears instantly, but it means darkness no longer has control over direction. Even a single spark can change the atmosphere of a cave. That's what your words do. They light the unseen. There's something deeply personal about that image. You are the torchbearer in your family, the one who carries light through generations of silence. Your obedience doesn't just free you, it frees those connected to your lineage. Every time you declare life, you are rewriting your bloodline story. Some people inherit houses or wealth. You, chosen one, are inheriting a mantle, a voice that breaks curses. What you speak today will echo in the future of those who come after you. That's why heaven keeps calling you to speak again. Even when you're tired, chains may not always rattle loudly when they fall. Sometimes they dissolve quietly. The way frost melts under sunlight. You'll just wake up one morning and realize the heaviness is gone. The fear no longer grips. The tears have turned to peace. That's how freedom often arrives softly, but surely. So if you've been wondering whether your voice matters, remember this. Heaven created entire worlds with a word. The same breath that sustains the stars sustains you. And when you use that breath to speak faith, forgiveness, or praise, you are aligning with creation itself. Your voice is not weak, it's a weapon. And every time you use it in truth, chains, seen and unseen, begin to break. And as those invisible chains fall away, you'll finally feel it, the weight lifting, the air shifting, the quiet victory of freedom wrapping itself gently around your soul. When heaven calls your name, it's not just an echo in the sky, it's an invitation to walk with purpose on the earth. Every breath you take carries the rhythm of something sacred. You've begun to speak again. You felt the shift. Now heaven invites you to learn another language of faith, the language of giving. Giving isn't about money first, it's about flow. When you open your hand, you allow heaven's current to pass through you instead of stopping at you. Every act of generosity whispers, "I trust you to refill what I release." It's not loss, it's circulation. A story is told of a man named Eliam, who offered his last piece of bread to a hungry stranger. That night, the stranger disappeared, but peace remained. The next morning, blessing followed him like dawn, chasing darkness. That's what generosity does. It turns ordinary moments into eternal echoes. It is written in the book of Proverbs, chapter 11, verse 25. A generous person will prosper. Whoever refreshes others will be refreshed. Now, when you support light, you share in its warmth. You become part of heaven's heartbeat. Each act of kindness, each small seed, keeps the rhythm of grace alive. Think of it like a lighthouse rising from a shore of faith. Every listener who responds adds another stone, another beam of brightness. Some bring prayer, some bring words, some bring resources that keep the flame alive for those still adrift. That's why every time you tap like, it's not for numbers, it's like striking a match in the dark. Every time you share, it's like sending a lantern drifting across someone else's storm. Every subscribe is another heartbeat that keeps this light pulsing across the world. And if you ever feel led to sow a seed to help this message reach places your feet may never walk, your donation becomes a drop of oil that keeps the flame burning. It's never forced, it's free will. Just as rain never demands payment from the earth it blesses, giving should always flow naturally from gratitude. You're not buying favor, you're fueling freedom. You're not meeting a demand, you're joining a divine rhythm. When you release something, heaven recognizes the motion and breathes back into your life in ways no currency could measure. Your support is not an obligation, it's a partnership. You and I, and all who listen, are co-builders of this lighthouse of hope. Every amen, every click, every silent prayer, every offering, it all becomes mortar between the stones of a living sanctuary where souls find rest. And maybe that's the beauty of it. You don't have to give much to make a difference. Even the smallest seed carries the potential of a forest. When you give from a heart that understands love, the ripple reaches farther than you'll ever see. So if this word has touched you, click like as your small flame. Share this message as your ripple. Subscribe to stay near the fire, so we can continue walking this journey together. And if you ever choose to donate, let it be like placing one more candle in the house of light. Not because you must, but because you want the light to reach someone still searching in the night. What you release today will rise again tomorrow, multiplied, because heaven always breathes on what's given in love. And maybe you wonder, will what I give really matter? Yes, it always does. Heaven doesn't measure by size, it measures by sincerity. A single act done in faith becomes a living echo. Somewhere, someone will breathe easier because you chose to keep the flame alive. Every seed has its own destiny. You never know which one will become the tree that shelters another soul. What seems small in your hands might be massive in God's design. Your little becomes a bridge someone else walks across toward hope. Sometimes, the blessing doesn't come back as money or recognition, it returns as peace, as strength on the day you almost give up, as favor you didn't even ask for. Heaven's math never looks like ours. It multiplies in mercy. not in numbers. Think of your giving, your like, your share, your prayer, your seed as raindrops forming a river. Alone, they're small. Together, they carve canyons through despair, carrying light into valleys you'll never see. So, walk forward with open hands. Keep your flame burning. Keep your flow alive. Because heaven always remembers the ones who give from love, quietly, purely, without expectation, just like the Father himself. There are moments when time itself feels heavy, when the night stretches longer than it should, and your prayers echo off unseen walls. You tell yourself to wait, but waiting starts to feel like wandering. Yet even in that silence, heaven is counting the seconds. Every pause has a purpose. Every delay heeds divine precision. Sometimes God doesn't move because he's waiting for you to speak what unlocks the next step. He already has the blessing prepared, but he's waiting for your agreement for the sound that signals, "I'm ready." There's a divine rhythm between your voice and his movement. And once you align with it, everything begins to shift. There's a story about a chosen one named Lani. She had been praying for breakthrough for years. Same job, same struggles, same unanswered hopes. One evening, she felt a quiet pull in her spirit. Say it before midnight. She didn't understand why, but she obeyed. She knelt, lifted her hands, and whispered, "Lord, I surrender my timeline." That night, peace covered her like a blanket. 2 weeks later, doors began to open. She had never knocked on. It wasn't about the time on the clock, it was about the timing of her heart. Heaven was waiting for her, yes. And when it came, the night shifted. According to what is revealed in the book of Proverbs, chapter 3, verse 27, "Do not withhold good from those to whom it is due, when it is in your power to act." Oh, this verse isn't only about generosity, it's about obedience. When it's within your power to act, act. Don't delay what heaven has already authorized. Sometimes obedience has an expiration. The opportunity will move if you don't. That's why the Spirit whispers with such urgency, "Say it before midnight." Henri, you see, heaven's timing isn't random. Midnight moments are spiritual thresholds, the ending of one season, the birth of another. That's why battles often intensify just before breakthrough. The darkness knows dawn is near. When you sense that pull to speak, to pray, to forgive, to release, don't wait for a sign. You are the sign. God's nudge is already proof that he's ready to move. Every miracle begins with a moment like this, the trembling breath right before obedience. When you speak what God has placed in your spirit, you realign the clocks of heaven. The time that felt wasted begins to redeem itself. The days that felt lost suddenly accelerate. It's as if every hour of waiting becomes fuel for what's about to unfold. There's something sacred about those late hours when the world is asleep and only the Spirit is awake with you. That's when you hear him most clearly, because the noise has died down and the soul finally stops running. The whisper you sense in those moments is not imagination, it's invitation. Every chosen one has a before midnight moment, a point where hesitation has to end and faith must speak. Not because God demands perfection, but because delay can disguise itself as humility. You keep waiting to be ready, but heaven has already declared you are. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to speak. Obedience doesn't require understanding. It requires trust. God doesn't move when we're comfortable. He moves when we're surrendered. And when you finally say yes, everything changes quietly at first. The winds shift. The doors that were closed begin to hum with possibility. Heaven adjusts its rhythm to your surrender. And what felt delayed starts to arrive right on time. There will come a day when you'll look back and realize this was your midnight, that moment when faith outweighed fear. When trust defeated time, you'll see how one whispered, yes, became the dawn of everything new. Right now, heaven is waiting again. The clock of purpose stands still, listening for your response. Don't let the moment pass. If you can feel that stirring, if your heart knows this word is for you, then write this in the comments. 888. Do it not as a ritual, but as a symbol. 8 represents new beginnings. And when you write it, you are declaring that your new chapter starts tonight. You're saying, the waiting is over. I align with heaven's timing. Let those 3 8s become your covenant with divine order, your visible yes. The number itself doesn't hold power, your obedience does. But this act of faith marks the moment heaven has been waiting for. The night may be dark, but the sun is already rising on the horizon of your surrender. Speak it before midnight, and watch as heaven turns the clock in your favor. And as the clock turns, heaven exhales. The stars bear witness. The silence breaks, and destiny begins to breathe again, because one chosen one dared to speak before the night was over. There is always a war for the voice of the chosen. It does not come with swords or fire, but with silence subtle, suffocating, persuasive silenci. The kind that convinces you your words don't matter, that your prayers vanish before they reach heaven, that your dreams are too old to rise again. That's the battle you've been fighting, even when you didn't have language for it. Darkness doesn't fear your talent, your appearance, or even your knowledge. It fears your voice, because your voice carries authority, and authority shapes reality. The first time you ever spoke truth over your pain, the enemy flinched. Every time you chose worship instead of worry, the ground beneath him shook. It's not a fair fight, because darkness can't create it, can only imitate and confuse. But you carry the breath of the Creator himself. Every time you open your mouth with faith, you undo lies that have stood for generations. You reclaim territory no one else dared to step on. There was once a chosen one named Sarin, a man who felt unqualified to lead, too broken to speak. He had stuttered since childhood and avoided public prayers. But one night, while reading the story of Moses, something inside him cracked open. He whispered, "Lord, if you could speak through him, speak through me too." The moment he said it, something changed, not his tongue, but his spirit. The next day, he spoke to a small group in his village, trembling but willing. What he didn't know was that one of the listeners, a young boy on the verge of suicide, heard those words and decided to live. That's the power of a voice yielded to God. It doesn't need perfection, it needs permission. The tremble of obedience carries more anointing than the roar of pride. The Apostle Paul reminds us in the letter to the Ephesians, chapter 6, verse 12, "For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against rulers, against authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms." End quote. That's the battlefield unseen, yet ever present. You felt it in the heaviness that comes when you try to pray, in the doubt that follows every good decision, in the sudden fatigue that meets your moments of clarity. Those aren't coincidences, they are resistance. Because hell understands what heaven has already declared. The moment you speak, you shift the atmosphere. You might think your voice is small, but sound travels farther in the spirit than you'll ever know. A single declaration spoken in faith can alter the course of entire generations. That's why the enemy aims for your mouth. If he can silence it, he can slow your destiny. But when you speak truth again, you take back everything he tried to steal. It's not easy to keep speaking when the world keeps breaking around you. Sometimes you will speak with tears in your eyes, unsure if anyone hears. Yet heaven listens closely to broken voices. The most powerful prayers are often the ones soaked in quiet desperation. If you could see what happens in the unseen each time you whisper, "God, I trust you," you'd never stop speaking again. Angles move, shadows recoil. The ground shifts under the weight of your faith. Your voice is the trumpet that shakes the gates. It's the vibration that heaven rides on. You were never meant to be quiet in the face of fear. You were meant to announce freedom, to declare what others are afraid to hope for, to speak life into places that have forgotten the sound of it. Silence may feel safe, but it costs too much. It costs purpose. It costs legacy. When you refuse to speak, the lies grow louder. But when you rise, even in weakness, your whisper becomes a weapon. You are not losing the war, you're learning your sound. Every battle, every tear, every sleepless night is tuning your spirit to the right frequency, the frequency of heaven's command. And when that alignment comes, when you finally understand that your pain was training your voice, not punishing it, you'll step into the kind of authority that terrifies darkness. You'll speak, and things will move. You'll declare, and things will live again. So, don't be discouraged if it's still hard to find the words. The battle for your voice means your sound matters. Keep guarding it. Keep using it. Because when you speak with faith, you remind every shadow who you belong to and who already won. And when your voice finally rises, even softly, heaven recognizes it. The war quiets for a moment, as if creation itself turns to listen because the chosen one has spoken again, and light has remembered its sound. When you finally speak, something ancient awakens. It's as if creation itself exhales in relief, whispering, they've remembered who they are. The moment your words align with heaven, everything begins to move, the seen and the unseen, the past and the future, the pain and the promise. You may not notice it at first. Life might look the same on the surface. The bills are still there. The ache still hums beneath your ribs. The unanswered questions still hang in the air. But something deep within has shifted. The atmosphere around you is no longer the same. You've sent a signal into eternity, and heaven has responded. The sound of your obedience travels farther than you can imagine. It threads through the spiritual realm, weaving restoration where there was ruin. It doesn't just touch your story, it brushes against others you will never meet. Somewhere, someone's darkness lightens because you chose to speak light. There was once a woman named Kira who understood this without fully realizing it. She had carried bitterness for years toward her father, toward herself, even toward God. One night, She sat in her small apartment and whispered, "I forgive him." That single phrase, carried on, trembling breath, changed more than her own heart. Her brother called the next day, after years of silence. Doors that grief had locked began to open one by one. Forgiveness had spoken, and the universe obeyed. That's how powerful your voice becomes once it's purified by surrender. Words birthed in humility travel faster than prideful speeches. They pierce deeper, reach farther, and carry healing on their wings. As it is written in the book of Nahum, chapter 1, verse 5, "The mountains quake before him, and the hills melt away. The earth trembles at his presence. The world and all who live in it. If creation trembles at the sound of his presence, imagine what happens when his presence fills your voice. Your words no longer float, they strike. They carry the vibration of divine authority, and every false thing must bow. Sometimes, when heaven moves in response to your obedience, it does so quietly. Not every miracle is thunder. Some are morning dew, forming silently until the light reveals them. You'll wake up one day and realize that the heaviness you carried has lifted, not because everything changed overnight, but because your spirit stopped agreeing with despair. The world around you might still be chaotic, but peace starts to bloom inside you. That's how revival begins, not in churches or cities, but in single hearts that dare to believe their voice still matters. Imagine the ripple. You speak healing, and it travels through your family line, through your friendships, through generations you'll never meet. You forgive, and someone else learns it's possible. You pray, and someone you've never seen suddenly feels strength in their bones again. Heaven loves chain reactions. It multiplies obedience. When you finally speak, the walls you once built for safety begin to fall. You realize they were never protecting you, they were keeping you from growing. Words of surrender are hammers in the hands of grace. They don't destroy you, they free you. You'll find that speaking truth doesn't always fix the situation, it fixes you. It changes the way you see, the way you carry, the way you breathe. Your voice becomes a sanctuary where heaven dwells comfortably. You don't have to sound strong for your words to carry power. You just have to sound surrendered. God hears sincerity more clearly than volume. Whispered faith echoes louder in eternity than shouted fear. So, let the words flow again. Let them come raw, unpolished, unplanned. Speak gratitude, even in confusion. Speak peace, even in pain. Speak love where resentment once lived. Every time you do, you build a bridge between heaven's truth and earth's reality. And as you keep speaking, you'll notice something. Sacred storms begin to lose their authority. The same winds that once terrified, you now move in rhythm with your steps. Because you no longer speak about your struggle, you speak from your victory. This is what happens when a chosen one finally opens their mouth with faith. The air itself changes. The earth leans closer, and heaven begins to sing your name again. Because one more voice has found its divine sound, and as that sound travels, heaven answers not with noise, but with movement. Doors unseen begin to open, burdens lighten, and your surroundings start to mirror the peace inside you. Because once a chosen one speaks, even softly, creation listens. The wind adjusts, the night softens, and the silence finally learns the language of light. Heaven never forgets the moment you obey. It's written somewhere beyond time, the sound of your surrender, the vibration of your words, the shift of your spirit. Angels record it not as data, but as worship. Every act of faith becomes an inscription in eternity. When you spoke those words, heaven marked the hour. The Father whispered, "They've returned," and all of creation responded. What you felt as stillness was actually heaven standing at attention. Every time a chosen one says yes, something eternal changes course. You may not see it yet, but the evidence is already forming. The atmosphere around you feels lighter, your thoughts clearer, your steps more guided. That's not coincidence, it's confirmation. Heaven doesn't just listen, it moves. There was once a chosen one named Dalen. For years he believed his prayers went unheard. He kept journals of every word he spoke to God, but saw nothing change. One day, weary and disheartened, he whispered, "Maybe heaven forgot." But that night, a stranger sent him a message, just 5 words. "Heaven heard you. Keep standing." That small sign became the anchor that kept his faith alive. Months later, the very dream he thought had died began to breathe again. That is the rhythm of divine remembrance. God never loses track of your sound. The moment you speak in alignment with His will, your voice becomes part of heaven's archive, a living testimony that time cannot erase. The Book of Acts, chapter 10, verse 4, tells us, "Your prayers and gifts to the poor have come up as a memorial offering before God." A memorial offering, that means your words leave a fragrance that lingers before the throne. Long after you've stopped praying, the echo remains. Heaven keeps it alive, waiting for the appointed moment to release its answer. Sometimes that moment takes years, but delay is not denial. In heaven's calendar, everything ripens at the perfect time. You may think your prayers expired, but they're only maturing in hidden soil. Every tear you cried watered a seed that will one day rise. When God moves, He doesn't just restore, He multiplies. You'll find blessings unfolding in areas you didn't even pray about, simply because obedience in one place opens favor in another. Heaven doesn't work in straight lines. It flows like rivers. Reaching every corner, your surrender touches. And when heaven writes your name in its story, it's not in ink that fades. It's in light that cannot be extinguished. The sound of your yes continues to resonate across generations. Somewhere in your family line, someone will walk freer because you chose to speak. That's why remembrance matters. Your obedience today becomes someone else's answered prayer tomorrow. Heaven doesn't just celebrate you, it commissions you. Every word you speak in faith sends ripples through the fabric of time. You may wonder why you still feel small, unseen, or unfinished. But heaven doesn't measure by visibility, it measures by vibration. You've already been heard. You've already been marked. The evidence is in motion, even when you can't see it. Now, take a moment and let your heart respond to this truth. You've been remembered. You've been heard. Heaven knows your name, and I want you to type these words below. Heaven heard me. Intent. Say it not as a wish, but as a witness, because when you declare it, you remind your soul that you are not forgotten. Those 3 words are more than a comment. They are your testimony. your memorial stone in the digital river where faith flows forward. As you write it, imagine angels nodding in recognition. They've seen the nights you stayed awake, the prayers you whispered through exhaustion, the battles you fought in silence, and now, this simple confession becomes their signal to move again. Yes, heaven heard you, and because it heard you, nothing will ever sound the same again. When you type, "Heaven heard me," you're not just posting words, you're planting a flag in the unseen. It's your way of saying, "I believe that silence was never absence. It was preparation." That declaration carries authority, and heaven responds to it. Those 3 words are more than affirmation, they are remembrance. They echo through your atmosphere, breaking the agreement with doubt. Each time you speak them, you remind darkness that heaven's line to you has never been cut, only quieted for timing. And as you declare it again, peace begins to settle. The ache softens, the fear loosens, and your spirit finally exhales. Because now you know heaven not only heard you, it has already started arranging the answer behind the scenes. There are sounds that travel beyond walls, beyond distance, beyond the edge of understanding. One of them is your voice of obedience, the other is gratitude. When the two harmonize, the atmosphere changes. Gratitude doesn't demand, it simply glows. It is the soft light that keeps your spirit warm when the night grows cold. When you begin to walk in alignment with heaven, you start noticing small miracles again. A door that once stayed closed now stands slightly ajar. A heaviness lifts. A conversation that felt impossible suddenly blooms with peace. That's how heaven moves quietly, precisely, always in rhythm with your yes. Gratitude is what keeps that rhythm alive. It's not only saying thank you, Lord, but living it. It's walking through your day aware that every breath, every moment, every chance to speak kindness is a gift borrowed from eternity. Gratitude multiplies what it touches. There was a chosen one named Amira who learned this truth in the most ordinary way. She worked long hours, caring for others while silently battling exhaustion. Every night she whispered, "Thank you for strength." One evening, as she passed an old homeless man on her route home, she gave him her sandwich, her only meal that day. The man smiled with tears in his eyes and said, "You've given me more than food. You've given me proof that heaven still remembers me." From that night forward, Amira's life began to unfold with unexpected grace, not because she brought a miracle, but because gratitude became her language. As it is written in the second letter to the Corinthians, chapter 9, verse 7, each of you should give what you have decided in your heart to give, not reluctantly or under compulsion, for God loves a cheerful giver. Giving is not an obligation, it's an echo of gratitude. It's saying, "I've seen goodness, and I want to keep it flowing." When you give, whether through kindness, time, words, or resources, you extend the melody of heaven's generosity into the world. Think of it this way: when someone likes or shares this message, it's like striking a small note on heaven's piano. Each click adds to a song that reaches the weary, the lost, the forgotten. Every like is a spark. Every share is a ripple on the river of hope. Every subscribe is a promise. Keep the light on. I want to walk this journey with you. And if you ever feel the desire to go deeper to help sustain the flame, Your donation becomes the oil that keeps the lamp glowing. Just like in the parable of the 10 virgins, the wise ones carried extra oil so their lamps would not go out. Your generosity doesn't buy light, it fuels it. This message, this voice, this moment, it all exists because hearts like yours keep the current alive. You may think your small act won't matter, but heaven counts differently. A single drop of water can start a river. A single ember can ignite a forest. So if this word has touched your spirit, let your gratitude take form. Like it, not for algorithms, but as your whisper of thanks. Share it as a candle passed to another hand, still searching in the dark. Subscribe as a choice to stay close to the warmth of this light. And if you feel led to give, let your offering be like planting a seed in soft soil. You may not see its bloom immediately, but in due season, it will rise, feeding others who stand where you once stood. No one is watching to measure what you give. Heaven sees the heart, not the amount. The purest offerings are born from love, not pressure. When you give with joy, you join heaven's rhythm of endless flow. This isn't about a transaction, it's about transformation. You don't give because you have to, you give because you want the song to continue, because you believe that light deserves to reach farther, deeper, wider, and maybe one day, when someone on the edge of giving up finds this message, they'll whisper a prayer of thanks, not just to God, but for you, the unseen hand that helped the light reach them. So, walk with open palms. Chosen one, let gratitude guide your steps. Like as a small flame, share as a reflection of hope. Subscribe as a step of faith. Donate, if you wish, as an act of love that travels farther than your eyes can see. No act of kindness ever fades in heaven's memory. It lingers. It multiplies. It returns in ways you can't predict, because heaven always remembers those who give not from wealth, but from wonder. And right now, heaven smiles because gratitude has found a voice again. Fire has always been the language of transformation. It doesn't apologize for consuming what no longer belongs. It simply burns until only what is pure remains. When heaven touches your words, that's what happens. Your breath becomes flame, and your old ashes start to glow. There is a sacred mystery hidden in fire. It doesn't destroy without purpose. It refines. Gold doesn't fear fire because it knows only the unnecessary melts away. In the same way, when God ignites your life, He's not punishing you, He's purifying you. Every heartbreak, every delay, every closed door is part of that refining heat. Sometimes, the trials that burn you are actually the fires that reveal you. It's only in the heat that the real strength of your spirit is proven. The flame shows what the darkness tried to hide, that within you lives something unshakable, something made for eternity. There was once a chosen one named Jonah, not the prophet, but a quiet man with a heavy past. He had lived for years, carrying shame from mistakes he could not erase. The guilt clung to him like smoke. He thought he'd lost the right to be called chosen. But one night, while sitting by a small fire behind his house, he heard a thought so clear it felt spoken aloud. Even ashes can carry light. No, that night, he wept. He realized God wasn't asking him to be perfect, only to stay near the flame. Slowly, the heat that once terrified him began to warm him. The guilt didn't vanish overnight, but it began to lose its power. By morning, Jonah understood he was not being consumed. He was being cleansed. As the prophet Isaiah wrote, in the 6th chapter, verses 6 and 7, "Then one of the seraphim flew to me with a live coal in his hand, which he had taken with tongs from the altar. With it he touched my mouth and said, 'See, this has touched your lips. Your guilt is taken away, and your sin atoned for.'" Oh, that passage holds the secret of renewal. When the coal touches the lips, it doesn't silence the voice, it sanctifies it. The same mouth that once trembled in shame becomes the instrument heaven uses to speak healing. The same heart that once broke under guilt becomes the home where grace builds an altar. Fire will visit every chosen one. It doesn't come to destroy what you are, it comes to expose what you carry. In those moments, when you feel everything familiar falling apart, don't run from the heat. Stay still. Let the refining do its work. You'll find that what survives the fire is stronger than whatever stood before it. Every scar becomes a shimmer, every loss a lantern, every pain a polished piece of testimony. You will rise, not despite the flames, but because of them. There is something breathtaking about this transformation. It doesn't happen with noise or spectacle. It happens in the quiet, when your spirit finally whispers, "I trust you even here." That sentence alone is holy fire. You'll know the process is working when the things that used to hurt you no longer define you. When memories that once burned now glow softly with meaning. When forgiveness begins to flow effortlessly, that's not weakness, it's purification. Sometimes, the fire won't come from tragedy. It may come from conviction, from truth spoken in love that stings before it heals. When the Spirit puts his finger on the places still hidden, he's not condemning you, he's calling you into freedom. Fire also brings clarity. In its light, illusions fade. People, priorities, desires, all are revealed for what they are. You stop chasing smoke and start walking toward substance. You learn to love the simplicity of truth, even when it costs you. There is beauty in being remade by flame. It means you are trusted with transformation. Not everyone is called to carry that heat, but those who are shine differently. They walk with an unseen glow, their words carrying warmth that others can feel. So if you are in the fire now, don't curse it, don't fear it. The same God who allowed the flame also guards the gold within you. He watches carefully, ensuring you're refined but never destroyed. And when this season ends, and it will, you'll step out radiant, carrying in your voice the evidence of everything you've endured. You won't just speak hope, you'll embody it. People will sense it before you say a word, because once the fire of heaven has touched a chosen one, their words no longer belong to them alone. They become divine embers burning through darkness, igniting faith wherever they land. There is a sacred moment when the fire fades to a gentle glow, and the air feels different, clearer, lighter, alive. It's the space after transformation, when heaven whispers, "Now, come back into covenant." Because purification was never the end, it was preparation. You've walked through silence, surrender, and fire. And now, heaven invites you into restoration. A covenant isn't just a promise, it's a return. It's the moment when you and God stand face to face again, not as stranger and servant, but as father and child. You might feel unworthy after everything, the mistakes, the doubts, the seasons of running. But covenant doesn't start with perfection, it starts with presence. God doesn't ask for your strength, He asks for your yes. He's not waiting for you to rebuild the altar, He's already lit the flame. There's a story of a woman named Selah. For years, she tried to fix her life alone, promising God she would do better. But the harder she tried, the emptier she felt. One day, exhausted, she fell to her knees and said, "Lord, I can't keep fixing what you already finished." That single confession opened something eternal. Peace entered her room like a soft wind. She realized covenant wasn't about earning, it was about returning. As the Apostle Paul wrote in the letter to the Romans, chapter 11, verse 29, "For God's gifts and His call are irrevocable." Irrevocable meaning they can't be taken back, even by your own failures. The call on your life didn't disappear when you wandered. The promise didn't expire when you hesitated. Heaven doesn't revoke destiny, it redeems it. When you return to covenant, you're not starting over, you're stepping back into the current that never stopped flowing. Everything you thought you lost has been preserved in waiting, wrapped in mercy, waiting for your yes to reactivate it. You see, covenant is not a contract, it's communion. It's not built on fear, but on faithfulness. When God binds Himself to you, He does so knowing every flaw you'll ever have, and still He says, "Mine." You may think you broke the covenant when you walked away, but He never tore His side of it. That's why grace feels so weightless. It doesn't wait for you to earn entry, it welcomes you back home. In this moment, heaven stands open. The angels lean in because restoration is one of their favorite songs. It's not dramatic, it's deeply personal. It sounds like breath returning to tired lungs, like laughter returning to someone who thought they'd forgotten how. Your part is simple. Say yes again. Whisper it if you must. Covenant doesn't require ceremony, it requires sincerity. When you step back into that alignment, things begin to move quietly but unmistakably. Relationships start to heal. Doors that once refused to open begin to respond. The heaviness in your heart turns into clarity. You'll notice small signs, peace where anxiety used to live, ideas that come like sparks, people crossing your path who feel divinely timed. That's covenant in motion. But remember, covenant always asks for response. God keeps His promise, but He invites participation. That's why prophetic acts matter. They're visible signs of inward truth. Right now, I want you to type this number in the comments. 555. Do it not for superstition, but for symbolism. 5 is the number of grace, and 3 5s speak of grace upon grace upon grace. By writing it, you are saying, "I return to grace." You are declaring, "I'm stepping back into divine alignment." It's not a transaction, it's testimony. Every time a chosen one publicly affirms their covenant, it strengthens the bridge between heaven and earth. It's you saying, "I still belong," and heaven responds, "You always did." When you type that number, let it be a prayer in motion, a visible reminder that grace didn't forget your name. The same grace that lifted David, that restored Peter, that pursued the prodigal, is here now, wrapping around you like morning light. You don't need to fix everything before returning. Just return. Grace will handle the rebuilding. Covenant is God's way of saying, I never let go. End. And as you walk in that realization, your life begins to shine differently. The peace you carry will be visible. The people who once doubted your faith will see something they can't explain. Consistency, born of communion. Because when a chosen one re-enters covenant, everything connected to them feels the ripple. Heaven restores not only the individual, but the legacy. It repairs what years of striving broke. It reclaims what fear abandoned. It reignites what waiting silenced. You are not coming back empty, you're coming back refined. You carry the lessons of every fire, every silence, every surrender. You return not weaker, but wiser, walking in a covenant sealed by grace, not guilt. This is your return, your reawakening, your reconciliation. And heaven rejoices not because you were lost, but because you've remembered where you belong. There is a crown reserved for those who endure, not the kind adorned with jewels, but the kind woven with endurance, humility, and faith. Crowns in heaven are not placed on heads of the proud, but on those who kept walking when no one was watching. You have worn invisible weight for years, the pressure of expectations, the heaviness of waiting, the quiet ache of obedience that no one applauds. But heaven has seen it all. Every time you chose integrity over convenience, every time you forgave without apology, every time you believed again, after disappointment, another thread of gold was added to your unseen crown. Crowns are not forged in comfort, they are shaped in conflict. The fire that once frightened you was never meant to consume you, it was meant to craft you. Every battle you've survived has added another layer of strength, another glimmer of purpose. You may not see it now, but the weight you feel on your head is not just weariness, it's royalty in the making. There was once a woman named Dara, who lived through years of being overlooked. She served quietly, prayed faithfully, and loved deeply, even when love wasn't returned. One night, while reading her old journal filled with unanswered prayers, she felt God whisper. I never forgot a single page. At that moment, tears streamed down her face, not of pain, but of release. She realized she hadn't been invisible, she had been preserved. That's what happens when God crowns a chosen one. He doesn't announce it with trumpets, he reveals it through transformation. You begin to walk lighter, speak wiser, love deeper. The crown isn't placed on your head, it grows from your heart. The Apostle James wrote in the 1st chapter, Verse 12, Blessed is the one who perseveres under trial, because, having stood the test, that person will receive the crown of life that the Lord has promised to those who love him. This crown of life isn't handed out at the end of the road, it begins to shine even now. In the way you carry yourself through darkness, heaven places it quietly on those who remain faithful when faith doesn't make sense. You might wonder, why the struggle? Why the testing? Because crowns are not ornamental, they are relational. They signify trust. God doesn't give them to display beauty. He gives them to display endurance. He places them on those he can trust with influence, compassion, and truth. When heaven prepares to elevate you, it will first refine your motives. That's why some doors didn't open when you begged them to. That's why certain opportunities slipped away. It wasn't rejection, it was protection. The Father was making sure your heart could carry the crown without bowing to pride. If you've ever felt hidden while others were celebrated, understand this, your hiddenness was holy. The soil covers the seed, not to bury it, but to prepare it for breaking. And when that seed finally rises, no one will question its strength. You've been in that soil long enough. Soon, your crown will shine through the dirt. Crowns in the kingdom don't glimmer like gold, they glow like humility. They're worn by those who choose forgiveness instead of revenge, patience instead of anger, compassion instead of control. Every time you chose peace when chaos would have been easier, your crown grew brighter. You might not see it in mirrors, but heaven does. Angels bow to what you've carried. They see the invisible victories, the nights you prayed through tears, the mornings you rose with faith, even when the world felt heavy. That's royalty in heaven's eyes. When your crown is ready, the world will recognize something different about you without knowing why. They'll feel peace in your presence, light in your words, safety in your silence. Because true authority doesn't demand attention, it radiates grace. The crown is not just for reward, it's for responsibility. God doesn't crown you to make you higher, He crowns you to make you a shelter for others. You become a living reminder that perseverance pays, that faith still wins, that love remains undefeated. You'll know your crown fits when it no longer feels like a burden but a calling. When your heart beats for others more than yourself. When your joy no longer depends on outcomes but on obedience. Every tear you've shed, every wound you've survived, every storm you've endured, none of it is wasted. It's all woven into the fabric of your crown. And when you finally stand tall, carrying the quiet dignity of a tested soul, heaven will whisper, "Well done." And that's when you'll realize the real crown was never on your head. It was always in your spirit, shining through your resilience, your kindness, your unwavering hope. And the world will see it too, not as glitter, but as grace. When heaven crowns you, something else happens quietly in the unseen. Angels move. They don't march with noise or wings that thunder. They shift softly, rearranging the pathways of your destiny. You don't always see them, but their fingerprints appear in the coincidences you call timing. A delay that saved you from harm, a meeting that became a miracle, a door that opened when you stopped knocking. Angels have always been part of the chosen one's journey. They are not distant figures in white robes. They are divine agents, assigned to ensure that purpose stays on track. Their movement is the choreography of grace. Every step you take in obedience gives them permission to move more freely around you. The writer of Hebrews revealed in the first chapter, verse 14, "Are not all angels ministering spirits sent to serve those who will inherit salvation?" That means you are never walking alone. The unseen world around you is alive with activity, angels stationed at intersections of your life, guarding, guiding, aligning. Sometimes their protection feels like interruption. What you thought was a setback might have been an angel's gentle redirection. There's a story of a man named Caleb who once missed his flight by minutes. Frustrated, he sat in the airport, unaware that his delay was divine. Hours later, he learned the flight had encountered severe trouble. In that moment, tears filled his eyes. He realized what had felt like inconvenience was actually intervention. Heaven had whispered through timing, and angels had obeyed. You may not see wings in your sky, but you have felt their presence, that inexplicable peace that comes during chaos, the sudden clarity when confusion surrounds you, the quiet comfort in grief. That's angelic activity. They carry whispers from heaven to remind you that you are seen, you are covered, you are not abandoned. Angels move according to spiritual laws. Faith invites them, fear restricts them. Worship strengthens their reach, complaint clouds their clarity. When you walk in obedience, you're not just pleasing God, you're giving His messengers room to operate. But angels do more than protect. They prepare. They go before you to set the table of your next season. They speak your name in rooms you've never entered. They soften hearts that will one day hold your favor. Heaven works ahead of time, and angels are its advance team. There was a woman named Mira who prayed for years to move into her calling as a teacher of the Word. Every door she tried to open seemed to close instantly. She didn't realize that angels were already preparing her future classroom, placing her in the right city, aligning the right people, setting the right timing. When her opportunity finally came, everything felt effortless. It wasn't coincidence, it was coordination. That's what divine movement feels like. It looks ordinary, but carries extraordinary order. Angels don't always deliver messages through dreams or visions. Sometimes they work through people, a friend's timely encouragement, a stranger's act of kindness, a sudden idea that feels too wise to be your own. When you start to recognize that heaven is not static, that unseen beings move for your good, your fear begins to fade. You stop thinking you're forgotten and start realizing you're being forwarded. Every divine delay, every closed path, every gentle "not yet" is proof that something holy is happening beyond your sight. The more you align with heaven's rhythm, the more the unseen responds. When you choose peace instead of panic, angels move faster. When you forgive, they can heal what you release. When you declare truth, they carry those words like assignments, ensuring they manifest in their appointed time. It's humbling to know that the same messengers who ministered to prophets and kings are now moving for you. They're not impressed by status or strength. They respond to surrender. They stand near every chosen one who whispers, "Here I am." One day, you'll look back and see how often they intervened, how many dangers never reached you, how many closed doors were blessings in disguise, how many times you were guided without realizing it. The patterns will become visible, like threads forming a tapestry, and you'll realize that nothing was random. Every moment was guarded by grace. You don't have to chase angelic presence. You just have to walk in divine alignment. When you follow the voice of God, His messengers follow you. Their footsteps echo in the unseen, adjusting, arranging, protecting, propelling. So rest in the assurance that heaven is not silent, it's strategic. You are surrounded by motion, even in stillness. The air around you hums with purpose. And when you move forward in faith, angels move faster still. The path clears, the winds change, and destiny flows unhindered because heaven's hosts recognize one of their own in motion, a chosen one walking in divine order. Mercy always knocks one last time before the door closes. Not because heaven is impatient, but because love always gives one more chance. You can feel that knock even now, not loud or forceful, but steady, gentle, almost rhythmic with your heartbeat. It's the sound of mercy saying, "I'm still here." And grace never rushes you, but it doesn't wait forever. Every divine invitation carries a window, a sacred opening where heaven and earth align perfectly. You are standing in one of those windows right now. The light feels different, doesn't it? The air seems softer, like time itself is pausing again. That's what mercy feels like when it hovers calm. Patient, holy. You've been through fire, silence, surrender, and renewal. You've seen God's fingerprints on your pain and His breath in your breakthroughs. And now, heaven leans close for the final call of this chapter. Don't turn away, not because you're threatened, but because this love is too precious to postpone. As Jesus declared in the book of Revelation, chapter 3, verse 20, "Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If anyone hears my voice and opens the door, I will come in and eat with that person, and they with me." It's not a warning, it's a whisper. Mercy is knocking at your door, not as a judge, but as a friend who doesn't want the table to stay empty. There was once a man named Elior. For years, he ignored the gentle nudges, convincing himself he was too far gone. But one evening, sitting by the ocean, he saw a flicker on the horizon, the last glint of sunlight before the night. It felt like the sea was asking him, "Will you still wait? Or will you walk home?" Tears came, and for the first time in years, he whispered, "Yes, Lord, I hear you." The tide rolled in as if to applaud him. That night, everything changed. The call of mercy is never dramatic. It arrives through stillness, through songs that stir memory, through words like these that feel too specific to be coincidence. Heaven has a way of speaking softly, yet unmistakably. This message, the voice, the words, the timing isn't random. It's part of that final knock, the one heaven sends before destiny moves on. And you have a choice. Open the door, step into light, or remain where familiarity feels safer than faith. Mercy will always respect your choice. That's what makes it so sacred. God never forces the door. He waits for the hand that turns the handle. And when that door opens, light rushes in, not just to fill the room, but to fill you. You'll feel it like warmth after winter, like laughter after tears, like finding home after wandering. That's what surrender really is, not giving up, but coming home. In moments like this, heaven often invites response not to measure worth, but to mirror gratitude. So, if this word has reached something deep inside you, let your gratitude move in gentle ways. A simple like becomes your candle in the window, a sign to heaven that the house is still occupied by hope. A share becomes the way you pass that flame along the dark road, helping another soul find the path. A subscribe becomes your soft, "I'm staying close to the light." And if you ever feel led to give to help this light keep burning, to let this message reach the heart still shivering in silence, let your offering be like placing one more log on the fire, not out of duty, but out of love, because warmth, once received, was always meant to be shared. No one will see how much you give, but heaven always notices why. Every act of kindness, every small gesture of support, becomes part of the echo that keeps mercy knocking on other doors. You may never know whose life you're lighting, but the flame will testify for you. So take your time, listen, feel that quiet pulse inside the one that says, "This is real." You don't have to rush. You just have to respond. Mercy isn't demanding anything of you. It's offering you another sunrise, another beginning, another chance to say, I still choose light. M. And when you're ready, let that choice show. Leave your trace in the comments below words. Emojis. Or even silence in symbol. Let heaven know the door is open. Because in this final call of mercy, every act of faith, every small yes, becomes part of the music heaven plays when one more chosen one opens the door. And as the door opens, the air changes. Mercy steps in like morning light, wrapping you gently, whispering, "Welcome home." Heaven smiles because you said yes at the perfect time. When heaven rejoices, the sound isn't like music on earth. It's deeper, softer, woven into the very air itself. Every time a soul returns, a vibration of joy ripples through eternity. Angels lean closer, voices rise, and light seems to dance. You can almost feel it now, the afterglow of your yes still echoing through the unseen. There's a beauty in the way heaven celebrates quietly. It's not loud applause, but rather a collective sigh of relief, like creation itself, exhaling. It's the moment peace stretches its wings and rests upon a soul that finally stopped running. The universe feels a little more complete when one heart comes home in heaven's celebration. There's no comparison, no hierarchy of worth. The joy for one is the joy for all. The same angels that sang at creation now sing over redemption. You may think your return is small, but heaven never calls reconciliation small. It calls it holy. As it is written in the Gospel of Luke, chapter 15, verse 7, there will be more rejoicing in heaven over one sinner who repents than over 99 righteous persons who do not need to repent. Those words reveal heaven's heartbeat. Every time someone turns back toward light, the balance of the universe tilts toward restoration. One act of faith outweighs centuries of fear. One whisper of surrender becomes an anthem among the stars. Imagine it a vast expanse of light where angels move like waves of brilliance, where every sound is a song of gratitude. In that place, your name is being spoken now, not as a reminder of failure, but as a declaration of victory. There was once a chosen one named Theo who struggled to believe heaven cared for him. His mistakes felt louder than his prayers. But one night, while watching a storm roll in, he felt the wind shift and heard a thought that didn't sound like his own. "Even now, I celebrate you." He broke down, realizing that heaven wasn't waiting for him to be perfect. It was rejoicing because he was finally facing the right direction. That's what redemption sounds like, not correction, but celebration. Heaven doesn't wait until you've arrived. It dances the moment you turn your face toward home. You might think you've just started the journey, but heaven sees the finish line already written. The angels don't just celebrate your decision, they start preparing your destiny. The joy in heaven isn't passive, it's productive. It begins to arrange everything you'll need for what's next: strength, guidance, favor, people. The celebration of heaven is also contagious. When light rejoices, everything it touches joins in. That's why, after true surrender, even ordinary things feel extraordinary. The air feels cleaner. Music sounds deeper. The sunrise seems closer. Heaven's joy spills into your senses, making everything shimmer with meaning again. When heaven celebrates you, it's not for what you've done, it's for who you've become. The child who stopped running, the warrior who chose peace, the voice that remembered how to speak. You have become a reflection of heaven's patience, a living reminder that grace never expires. You are proof that love wins, not through force, but through endurance. Heaven doesn't cheer because you're flawless. It cheers because you refuse to quit. You stood when surrender felt impossible. And that persistence is worship in its purest form. Every soul that returns to the light becomes a torch for another, still wandering in the dark. Heaven's joy over you becomes light for them. That's how God multiplies redemption, one flame lighting another until night itself grows thin. Even now, while you sit in stillness, the unseen world hums with melody. Somewhere in eternity, your name is being sung in tones the human ear cannot hear, but the soul can sense. The sound of your obedience is being woven into heaven's eternal harmony. That's the beauty of divine celebration. It doesn't fade. The same joy that greets your return will sustain your walk. Heaven's rejoicing becomes your rhythm, guiding each step you take forward. You may not hear the song audibly, but you will feel its effects in every moment of peace that follows. It's the reason anxiety loses volume, the reason hope feels tangible again. Heaven's joy becomes your stability. And one day, when this journey is complete, when your work is finished and you stand in that radiant presence, you'll recognize the melody playing there. It's the same one that began the moment you said yes. Heaven's celebration is not a one-time applause. It's an eternal echo. It continues long after the sound fades from earth. Because joy in heaven has no ending. You are the note added to that song, the rhythm newly restored, the light rejoined to its source. The celebration began when you turned, and it will never stop. In the quiet that follows heaven's song, you begin to understand something sacred. Your voice was never meant to fade. Every word spoken in faith becomes an echo that outlives the moment. It ripples through generations, weaving through time like threads of light, shaping destinies you'll never see. Eternal echoes are the language of heaven. They carry stories of courage, repentance, and redemption, whispering them into the hearts of those still searching. Long after your lips have stilled, the sound of your obedience will continue to speak. Every yes, every prayer, every act of faith creates resonance in eternity. It's difficult for the human mind to comprehend how sound never dies. On earth, words fade into air, but in heaven, they become substance alive, recorded, remembered. The moment you spoke, "I trust you," heaven captured it. The phrase was sealed like a note inside the walls of eternity, playing softly every time another soul needs courage to believe. That is what legacy truly is. Not what people remember of you, but what heaven preserves through you. You are more than your years. You are a vibration of divine memory. As the Apostle Paul wrote in the second letter to the Corinthians, chapter 3, verse 3, "You show that you are a letter from Christ, written not with ink, but with the Spirit of the living God, not on tablets of stone, but on tablets of human hearts." You are not ink on paper. You are a living letter. Your life has been written by grace. Your scars turned into punctuation marks of mercy. Every person who crosses your path reads a line of that letter, even if they never realize it. Think of it. You once were searching for meaning, and now your very existence gives meaning to others. The cycle of heaven's echo continues through you. The message that saved you becomes the message that saves someone else. There was a woman named Nara who carried pain like a language. Years after her healing, she met a young girl sitting in the same kind of silence she once knew. Nara didn't preach. She simply said, "You'll make it through this." It seemed like nothing, but those 4 words kept that girl alive through her own valley. That's how echoes work. They move quietly, but they never fail to reach their destination. Every chosen soul carries that responsibility, the holy weight of echo. Your words, your endurance, your story will continue to resound through time. Heaven trusts you with influence beyond what you can measure. Even when you think you're whispering into emptiness, heaven amplifies your voice to reach the places that need it most. That's why you've endured so much. Not because you were forgotten, but because your frequency had to be refined. Only a tested heart can carry an unbroken sound. Every trial tuned you. Every loss softened your tone. Every victory gave it depth. Now, when you speak, it's not just sound, it's substance. You have become the echo of divine faithfulness. You carry the cadence of every miracle, every act of mercy that shaped you. Heaven uses your life like an instrument, weaving your melody into the grand symphony of redemption. And even when you leave this world, that melody will continue. The kindness you've shown, the prayers you've prayed, the love you've offered, they don't die. They transform. They become part of the eternal harmony that sustains creation itself. The stars will still hum your faith. The wind will still carry your praise. Every soul touched by your obedience will carry a piece of your sound forward. In this way, your story will never end. It will only change form. You are a living echo of divine love, a vessel through which heaven speaks to earth again and again. The same God who called you, refined you, and crowned you has woven your voice into the eternal rhythm of his plan. So rest in this truth. Your words will keep working long after you stop speaking. Every act of faith, every whisper of hope, every moment of surrender continues to breathe life into the world. You were never just one soul among billions. You were a sound heaven needed. And now that sound is eternal. It belongs to time and to eternity, to earth and to heaven. You have become the echo that will never fade. The voice heaven will replay forever. The chosen one has spoken, and heaven will never stop listening. And as heaven listens, creation stills. The wind pauses. The stars lean closer. And time itself holds its breath, because your echo has joined eternity's song. And its melody will never be silenced again. You've reached the end of the message, but not the end of your journey. What has awakened in you tonight is only beginning. The echo of your story will keep moving through time, through others, through eternity. Heaven celebrates the ones who not only hear, but respond, who take what was poured into them and pour it forward. And now, that invitation is yours. Let what you've received tonight continue its motion. Let it touch someone else the way it touched you. When you click like, imagine lighting a candle that signals the fire still burns. It's not for algorithms, it's a quiet act of gratitude. Your visible thank you to the source that found you here. When you share, see it as opening a window, letting this light drift into another soul's darkness. You never know whose night might be waiting for your small spark. When you subscribe, picture yourself sitting closer to the flame, choosing to stay where the warmth remains. It's your silent promise, I'm not walking away from the light. And And if you ever feel led to go further, to give, to donate, to help this flame travel beyond your screen, see it as planting a lantern in someone else's storm. You're not paying for light, you're passing it on. And now, before you go, take a quiet moment and leave a comment below. One word, one symbol, one sentence that describes what this journey awakened in you. It could be a single word like peace, light, or home. Whatever rises in your heart, write it. That small word becomes your footprint in this sanctuary of souls. Every act of kindness, every word written here, every offering of support becomes part of this growing river of light. So, as we close, take a deep breath. Feel that quiet warmth still glowing inside you. Carry it. Share it. Let your life become part of the story heaven is still writing through the chosen ones,